Hi, Matt. Welcome.
Hey,
We
what's up?
got a good video today. We're gonna go over a
Great
few
video,
things.
honestly.
Thank you for joining us again, Real Friends Football. I'm Miles, RFF Mills, El Chaco, whatever you want, whatever feels more comfortable. What was that? Heck,
Uh,
that was like a
Nothing.
little. It feels like, was it when I said Mills or what was it that
It was the El Chaco.
I have gone? What do you mean?
What?
That's what y'all call me, El Chaco.
Yeah. No, I know. It was like, I'm surprised that you told other people that we call you that. It was
Yeah, so I am trying to get out of my a bubble a little bit more.
Fair enough, fair enough.
So, and then go ahead and introduce yourself. Who are you? And so, what we're gonna get started today, boys, is we're gonna talk about most underrated and then most overrated teams. Have a good discussion about that. Getting into most competitive divisions in the NFL. Right now, we don't know who's going to be the Detroit Lions of 2 years ago, where they just come on the scene, pause, and just really take the league by storm. We don't know who's going to be the team like who was really good and just had a terrible outing, like just shockingly. I mean, the Jets. I feel like everyone last year, the Jets were.
You could say the Eagles fell off last year, but
after
for most of the
starting
season,
10-0,
they were
right?
there.
Having like a really crazy great start and fell off. And so, top five quarterbacks, that's all up in the air. That's always been up in the air. There are some players that have great gifts, like a Herbert, but is he top five? And there's other players that get hurt all the time. Joe Burrow, is he top five? And there's CJ Stroud, Coleridge, Bernard, young guy, is he in the top five? So let's start out with most overrated teams, because I think that's a really good way to kind of pick and prod on elite teams to kind of see if you see any vulnerabilities. I will open up the stage for you first. Who do you got?
So, just if you're new to the channel and you don't know me, I'm a Cowboys fan. So, this could be my bias, but I also think
You look like
the Eagles have to be on this list.
Okay.
Reason being, I feel like they're in the exact same position they were last year. Like, yes, they got an upgrade at running back, but a running back was never an issue for them. Like, that wasn't a position of need. And so, what is going to be different this year compared to last 2 years? I just don't really see why they're being talked about as like a lock for the division, a lock for a contender, when the last that we saw of them, they absolutely fell apart.
I agree. I like that a lot. My question to you would be not even a question, because I actually had a conversation about this with he's an Eagles guy at work, and what I told him is, with the additions of Jahan Dotson, the additions of Saquon Barkley, and luckily they have a quarterback in Jalen Hurts that, really talks the talk with very beautiful words and stuff like that. He really doesn't really like to get ahead of himself, but it kind of feels like this is like that dream team without it being like said before. You know how they get all these dudes in, and how like Vince Young, I think it was Vince Young, goes out and like, this is the dream team. This is the new Eagles. We're a dream team type of team. And we saw how that season went for them. It was very, very shoddy at best.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, just getting back to the overrated, is there a specific player, or is it like the defense you don't think it's going to be? Is it the coordinator? Is it smoke where there's fire? What exactly? Because, I mean, if you take this team and you put them in Madden, it's not overrated. Like, this is a lit team. So what specifically about it that you think, like, more in detail, like, makes them an overrated bunch?
Yeah, I mean, you obviously have the dynamic between Hurts and Sirianni. Now they say that that's been mended. They say that they've been working on that. When push comes to shove, have they actually worked on it? It's nice when you're winning, and then things start to fall apart, and then that's when everything else falls apart. I
agree.
So we'll see that, but then also the Eagles have, like, even last year they were talked about as a super team. When they got AJ Brown, they were talked about as a super team. Like, year after year after year, they're talked about as this super team. And it's partially there. It's just not fully there. Jalen Hurts is all of a sudden talked about as one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and really he only had one good year.
Okay.
So there's just not enough that I think that I've seen to put them, like, they're still a good team. Don't get me wrong. They still compete. They're still going to be right there with the division, but it's talked about as almost as if like they will beat out the Cowboys. They will be the number 2 team in the NFC. I'm sure a lot of people now, just given with where the 49ers are, probably put the Eagles at the number 1. I know the Lions are probably in that conversation too, but yeah, I'm holding pause on the Eagles for right now.
My last question would be, do you think that the Philadelphia Eagles are getting their hype and or have their overrated badge, because it's kind of like a badge of honor, honestly, to have an overrated symbol, because it means to some aspect you're doing something right. You're getting guys in the door, at least some in some form of fashion. I'm curious though, does the overrated aspect come? Is it comparative to what the Cowboys are, what the Cowboys have, and seeing their bunch, seeing their group, seeing how talented they are year in, year out, to where it's like you can't really put a team at the pedestal when we saw their downfall, like you said earlier, when there's another team that beats them, like competes with them at a very high level. If the Cowboys weren't in there, or even if the Cowboys, let's say it was clear cut period that they weren't the dudes this year, would that still be Eagles are still overrated?
I do think part of it is the narrative of the competition in the division, the competition in the NFC, particularly the division. I think honestly, if you look at across the board, the top teams in the conference as a whole, Eagles are maybe number 3 right now, because I think where a lot of people put them, maybe number 2. I think people probably have 49ers and then like Lions, Eagles, probably in that conversation for the number 2 and 3 spot. And I just think, and so I do think the narrative of the division does drive a lot of the overrated conversation for me.
Okay. I think the Eagles overrated is a good position for them, because 100%, like, I'm not trying to make a joke. Okay. I'm not trying to make a joke. But to the same, I guess, pedigree as the Cowboys, they have shown to have these really great starts, really great regular seasons, and then at some point, they just don't look like the team that everyone thinks that they are. At some point in time, whether it be an NFC championship, whether it be a first round beat down by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, whatever it might be, they kind of just fall off the wheels. But okay, all right, let me get into my team. And we are very similar, Hack. We go after teams in the division that our team is in, and even more so, it's because we know that division very well. You know the NFC so well. I know the AFC North so well. I
think I know where this is going.
I mean, it's clearly overrated what the Baltimore Ravens are about to be doing this upcoming season. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they could have and should have done better, done more, if they had Mark Andrews all year last year. I just personally believe that, like, just how they started the year. And I think Mark Andrews, shoot me where I'm at, like, he is a top 2 or 3 tight end in the NFL. I think that wholeheartedly. I think he is actually crutched by having Lamar Jackson as his quarterback. And I just because for me, I see every Ravens game and it's like he has to make these acrobatic wide catches to get the ball. The receivers for the Baltimore Ravens have gotten smaller. I don't know if you've noticed, but Zay Flowers is my height. And then you have...
How tall are you for the camera?
I don't think that's relevant. You know what I mean?
Okay. No, that's fair.
So then you have these... you have Rashad Bateman. How long have we been waiting for him to be the guy? And then you have Nelson Aguilar. Shout out Eagles, Super Bowl MVP. So I don't know. And then their offensive line, right? So this is what I have right here. Last year, I think they had Kevin Zeitler at right guard, who's a great guard. He was an all-pro guard. He's gone. They're bringing in Daniel Falalele, who's that like 7'8". I think he went to Minnesota. That's monstrosity of a man. He's going to be the new right guard. And then Patrick McCarry. Patrick McCarry, when Ronnie Stanley was out about 2 years ago, when I saw number 69 get in the game, Trey Hendrickson, our edge it was teeing off. It was a tee off. He's their new starting right tackle. And then left guard, Andrew Voorhees, who I think he's going to be good, but he's a rookie. So, I mean, take that for what you will. They still have Tyler Linderbaum, who I think is a great center, and they still have Ronnie Stanley at left tackle. But you're now, your offensive line just wasn't what it was. Having Morgan Moses as a right tackle last year is crazy good, and you just also see this level of, okay, we're just gonna give the ball to an older running back, a bigger running back, a running back that has great games, but not against AFC North teams. Like, he does not really perform that way consistently with AFC North teams, but that doesn't mean that he can't really pop off. But what I'm seeing in the media, that it's going to be Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry that win the season or win the AFC North. That's crazy to me. If you don't have a star receiver or two guys that can get the ball open to help out Lamar Jackson, you have three new starting pieces in your offensive line. The defense is lit, but oh, wait, Mike McDonald, their defensive coordinator, who was a nightmare for every team last year, he's the new head coach. He's a head coach for the Seattle Seahawks right now. And so, just like the Eagles, right? They lost their defensive coordinator a year ago, and then that defense last year was just like a joke. Same thing with their offense using Shane Steichen. And I'm a personal believer, a real believer, and I'm not sure who their defensive coordinator is. I highly doubt that they promote from within, so it's an outside source. But it's new still. It's new at the end of the day. There's so much newness. But then when you look at the AFC North, we did lose our offensive coordinator to the Tennessee Titans, but our new offensive coordinator is Joe Burrow's quarterback coach for the past 5 years. So there's still that familiarity in the team, in the organization. And it's just, they're currently, last time I saw, they're at plus 160, plus 165, having better odds to beat the Bengals at plus 170. And so I don't know. I just think that this team is getting a lot of buzz due to their defense, which is, like I said, it's being controlled by a new brain right now, a new aggression, new tendencies, and their new defensive coordinator. And then also, you're telling me that Lamar Jackson and a running back, put in Jonathan Taylor, put in Nick Chubb, put in the best running back you can think of. I've never seen it happen. I guess I'll say it like that. I've never seen a quarterback and a running back be the key points of a championship or even AFC North championship. AFC North in specifically, right? AFC North specifically, where it's a quarterback and a running back on offense. You can't, I'm out on that one.
Yeah. So I think you did a good job of like explaining why, like each area, defensive coordinator, the line issues, the receiver issues. I'm curious though, because you could make the argument, and I don't know if you see this side of it, to play devil's advocate, that having a worse line is going to require Lamar Jackson to revert back to what he does best. Where I feel like Lamar kind of lost a step because he tried to prove that, like, no, I can be a passer. And that's when to me, it felt like he lost what made him him. And now he's going to have to go back. Now you could say maybe he's not as good as he used to be with that because he stopped doing that as much. I don't know that there's really that much of an argument, but are you worried at all about that?
The only way Lamar can get back to what he used to be is, and I guess I did, not count him in, but it is Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is going to be that guy that keeps him in, that keeps him to be able to kind of rip the ball and kind of escape outside the pocket and still look downfield. And he is definitely, with this, not as great offensive line, I think we will see a season where he has to take off more. And because, like I said, I saw Patrick McCarry at left tackle against Trey Hendrickson. And I looked up him within himself. It's not good. It is not good. It's not good. And so, getting back to his old MVP ways, or what do you mean exactly? What do you mean, like, kind of specifically with kind of like how he used to be? What is it like? What do you mean, like, specifically? I guess.
Yeah, I think it's more, and he still shows this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he doesn't do this, obviously, but like you said, what he is better at is when the pocket breaks down, getting out of the pocket. He's not good in the pocket. Yeah. He's never been a pocket. Which
he was trying to do last year, just be a pocket.
Exactly.
Dude. Yeah. I personally believe, and this is this is what sucks because, like I said, I've told this so many times. If Lamar Jackson wasn't a Baltimore Raven or a Cleveland Brown or Pittsburgh Steeler, he'd be one of my favorite. If he was a Dallas Cowboy, I'm wanting him to succeed still. But yeah, we like you said, we saw him try to clean everything up and try to be a long-term quarterback. He's got a lot of money, a lot of investment in his body now, and he wants to play for a long time. And he doesn't want to be seen as a runner. So I think he's not going to revert back into his old ways. I think he's going to try to stay strong in that pocket and make tough throws. And I personally believe he's going to not expose himself, because they're still going to play against bad teams, and he's going to be able to figure things out and stuff. But I'm thinking specifically in the AFC North, it's going to be really hard, hard. But I'm not rooting against him personally because I love him so much, but I just don't think it's going to be as pretty as people are suggesting.
Yeah.
Do you have another team you want to bring up?
So I have two, and I'll let you choose which one we dissect a little more.
Okay.
So one is a better team, or at least typically seen as a better team. The other one, I think, is more middle of the pack team.
Okay.
One is the Bills. I think the Bills are overrated.
I like that.
And then number two, or I guess third on my list, but number two here is the Jags. I think Jacksonville is overrated.
Let's do the Bills, because I think I want to hear what you have to say about the Bills, and then I want to go off you. So what do you have for the Bills?
Okay. I think I always go back and forth on Josh Allen. His turnovers get so overlooked.
Yeah.
And I think there's fairness to that, because he makes so many good plays. He's kind of like an NBA equivalent of Manu Ginobili, where it's like that dude would make a mistake, but he was going to get it back. He was going to make up for it.
Yeah.
So at least in that sense, I would say they're similar, not overall. But so that's kind of how I feel about him, is man, how is the media not harping on this? They kind of got to it a little bit last year. But more than that, I'm just not convinced that they have the weapons to make up for those mistakes. It's just kind of with each season, that gap, that window closes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see them making any moves to prolong that window. If anything, losing Stephon Diggs, yeah, maybe you get more locker room cohesion and sideline unity, but you lose a lot with that.
Yeah.
And so with just each passing year, they stay up here and they're not doing anything, and they're not, to me at least, they're not getting any better.
Okay. Who do you have right now taking that division?
I would, to me, this was one of the, do I have it? Yeah, I have it as one of my harder divisions, obviously minus the Patriots. I really like the Dolphins personally. I just think they continue to add weapons that fit the exact thing that they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And so I like the Dolphins, but yeah.
Okay. I am gonna go off on the Bills. What are they? What's the DNA? What's the with the Bengals? They're gonna pass a good amount. They got a good quarterback and elite receivers. We just talked about the Ravens. We know what they're gonna do. They're gonna run the ball down your throat, do play action. I already know what the Cowboys are going to do. They're going to space things. They're going to run the ball, do longer play action to draw the plays out, to look for something over the head. I just don't know what the DNA of the Buffalo Bills is going to be. You got Keon Coleman, a rookie wide receiver. I no longer do that whole he's a rookie thing. But I'm going to do the whole let's see what he does his rookie season. I think Keon Coleman's going to be a starting wide receiver for some time. It just takes a few guys longer. But I think he'll be great as a rookie. I think he'll be okay as a rookie. But is Khalil Shakur your number one? Is a slot receiver your number one wide receiver? I just get caught up in that. And then is James Cook going to be the bell cow? I think they're going to be a run-first team.
I think they have to be.
They have to be. They have to be a run-first team. So James Cook, who has had his ebbs and flows, has gone up and down as a starting running back for the Buffalo Bills. has fumble issues from time to time, but he can also rip. He can also ball out. I just fear and wonder the hero ball. I mean, that's what Josh Allen's problem is. It's the hero ball. It's the hero side of it. It's like his innate nature to. At Wyoming, he had to do so much at Wyoming, and I just don't think college tendencies they just go away. I mean, he's definitely an older player. He's not doing the same things he did in college, but at some point in time, he might feel like his subconscious, like, hey, this is the exact same thing that I had to deal with in Wyoming. I'm just going to start doing what I can to be the guy for this team and this and that. But that's just one side of it. Matt Milano tore his bicep, bro. Like, this is their heart and soul of the defense. And 2 years ago, in week 6, when he tore his ACL last year, and that's kind of when the defense kind of fell apart, he was getting regarded as like a Fred Warner competition of top linebackers in the league. I knew Matt Milano's name out of nowhere, and he was making crazy plays, and they just lost him. So defensively, what are we doing? I always felt like the Bills' defense has always been a prime, like, secret weapon to help them out with these Kansas City Chiefs games, with these tougher games. But I don't know. I'm with you on overratedness. I believe it won't get overrated, or like the overrated meters will fall off the hinges by like week 3 or 4, because I think people are just going to see them for what they are.
Yeah.
But I do still believe Josh Allen is good enough to make them look better. I personally agree that they're overrated, but I already see them for what they are. So I can't really even give I can't see what the media sees.
If you look at last year, the media really started to see the Bills, I think, as we see them. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the season, they had a little surge and won the division. I think I know there was questions if they'd make playoffs. I think as it got closer, we knew they were probably going to make the playoffs, and then they won the division.
Right.
And so then all of a sudden, they won this division. Was it really them winning the division, or did Miami absolutely bottle it? Mm-hmm. So I think that more than anything. And so then all of a sudden they won the division. Now they're back up here in the media's mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I agree with you. I think as we start to see, okay, this is what we started to see last year, and now it's back. And I mean, look at their receivers. Like, you mentioned Shakir, you mentioned Coleman, Curtis Samuel, who I think is a solid player, but
yeah,
I don't know. To me, his career has been a little underwhelming. Mm-hmm. Matt Collins, Valdez Scantling, KJ Hamler, what are we talking about here? You're really just hoping that Keon Coleman goes off. Mm-hmm. Yes, they have Kincaid, who can absolutely be a weapon, but that's your best receiving option right now.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I just think it's a matter of time until we see Josh Allen try to play some hero ball, and it sucks, but it's just gonna hit him right in the face. For me, I don't really have a second overrated team. We can definitely get into the Jaguars though. Have you been feeling as if they're getting love? I feel like the Texans are already we got it. What are you hearing? What are you seeing within the Jaguars to have them up there?
I just think I'm not high on Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. I was initially. I just think each season I'm less and less impressed. To me, I put him in a similar box as I do. Oh my gosh, this is going to sound really stupid. Never mind. Justin Herbert. I was I can't think of the Chargers quarterback. I kind of put them in a similar window. I obviously think Herbert's better than Trevor Lawrence, but it's just you constantly hear this potential, and then it's never met. I look at last year, there were only 2 wins that they had that I really was impressed by.
Yeah.
And one of them was against the Bills early in the season where the Bills weren't playing well. Mm-hmm. And then they had an away game later in the season against a division rival that I thought was a good win. But at least I think that's the one it was. Either way, there were only 2 wins. I have to go back and look at the schedule. I was looking at it earlier. Only 2 wins last season that I really felt impressed by. And it certainly depends on when you play the teams, when in the season are they on a roll, do they have injuries? Like
That's everything.
all of that matters. Like you can't just look at wins and losses straight up. But I'm just not impressed by this team. And they keep getting talked about of like, is this the year?
Yeah.
And so it's really, that's why. I know they're still kind of a middle of the pack team. They're a playoff team, but I still feel like they're given way more respect than they have earned.
Okay. No, I like that. And I get it because, yeah, they just need, I mean, the media and the NFL, literally, and I mean this wholeheartedly, they need Trevor Lawrence to be the face of the NFL. Like, they need him because he's beautiful. Like, he has the long hair. He's a good guy. He's beautiful. I ain't ashamed to say it. He's a beautiful man. He has the long hair. He's soft-hearted. He's kind. Like, he says all the right things in every press conference, and he's talented. Like, he is, like, a carbon cutout of a TV show or of, like, a movie where they show the quarterback. You know, if it was, like, I don't see those Friday Night All-American things, but, like, he is literally that. And the media, they're trying to, I think, believe, turn the NFL into a reality TV show. And that would just be the perfect. And then same thing with Josh Allen. Same thing they're doing with Joe Burrow, getting these, physically, aesthetically pleasing males, okay, to, host them as the new Tom Brady, the new Peyton Manning. They're trying to get those consistent guys in. So they want Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars to be good. So I get you there. I feel it now. Underrated teams. I'm going to go first. And this is just because I'm hot on this team. I think that this team is going to this is always the team that come week 8 or 9, we're like, duh. Like, it's them. Duh.
I just want you to know I have a team on here that I just wrote it. I put Miles' pick on it. I wasn't going to say it because I thought Miles is going to choose this team, and I'm just curious if this is them. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll keep going. And I think by week 9 or week 8, they're going to be like, oh, duh. Like, of course, they have Matthew Stafford. Of course, they have Puka Nacua. Of course, they have, Cooper Kupp. Of course, the Rams are about to win the division in the NFC West. Like, of course. And I just think this Rams team, they have done enough. And I think Jared Verse, he's going to be a, not an elite pass rusher as a rookie, but he is going to be a viable, legitimate pass rusher as a rookie. They did some things. They got another rookie out of Florida State. His name is losing out of my mind, but Kobe Turner. He's gonna, or is it Turner? No, it's not Kobe Turner. I can't remember. It's Kobe. His first name's Kobe. He's a pass rusher. He was a rookie last year. He had 9 sacks as a defensive tackle. And he had a whole year next to Aaron Donald. So there's going to be some beautiful things.
Kobe Durant.
Huh?
Wait, no, that's corner.
It's something Kobe, I think. I think it's something Kobe or Kobe something.
They have a Kobe, but he's a corner.
No, I got to get this. Rams depth chart. Boom.
Oh, Kobe Turner. Yeah.
Oh, his name is Kobe Turner. I'm tripping.
Yeah, I completely missed it.
Yeah. So Kobe Turner, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, that's the rookie I was thinking of. Like, those are legitimate. And then we get to see Byron Young in year 2 as an older year 2 kind of guy. This defense is better. I like Cam Kitchens a lot as a rookie. I think he's going to do some things. And then Sean McVay. I don't understand how we do this. Like, literally 3 years ago when he won the Super Bowl, he was this Kyle Shanahan genius juggernaut. And out of nowhere, when people see the Rams, they don't give that, oh, wait, they have Shanahan. Or, they have McVay. They're fine. We gave it to the Patriots for so long. They got Bill Belichick. Like, so it's the Rams for me. And not only do I think they're going to be a legit team, I think they're going to beat out the 49ers and get that AFC West championship. 100%.
That is not the team I thought you were going to pick. Reason being is I view them the exact same way you do. What do you think it is then that people discredit them a little bit?
I think it's I think it's a lot of things. I think it's the visual wins. Their wins are dirty. They're not impressive. They're always Oh my gosh, dude. Bum ass camera, bro. Hold on, little. I'll edit this out. So ridiculous. All right.
Baby.
Okay. So, what was I saying?
Yeah. So what is it that you think makes them overlooked?
Okay, yeah. So like I said, it's a visual ordeal. I don't think they have those, exciting Miami 42-10 wins, or 42, like they win 42, only give up 10 points type of wins. They don't have any of those. They compete and they beat the bad teams, but they're competing so closely, it's not a convincing win. And also, I don't think that people believe that an okay offensive line or a bad offensive line could get better. I think they did get better in the offensive line department. But also, to the unfortunates of like what can happen in the AFC. Did I say AFC West? They're going to win the NFC West.
I think you said NFC.
Okay. But what's happening in the AFC West with the Chiefs and the Broncos and the Raiders and the Chargers, it's like we can't even give Chargers any praise because of what the Chiefs are.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's tough to give the Rams any credit when everyone has their thoughts already set on the 49ers. Their opinions on the 49ers is just so high to where it's like, okay, we want to see a team. We need to see a team climb over that hump and then we'll believe. That's all it is, even though they've done it multiple years of being successful with this same niche group, probably except for Aaron Donald. He's the only odd one out.
Sure.
But I think genuinely it's the 49ers shadow that is just blocking any Rams potential success, because you go to anyone, it's like, who's going to win the NFC West? Oh, the 49ers. And maybe you'll get a Seahawk. I don't know how many Rams you get for whatever reason.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I was really annoyed. This is kind of a side note just on the Rams. Lastly,
I don't think Sean McVay is liked. Like, I don't think people like him.
Yeah. What I think about that too, by the way, is like, I think he so quickly came on the scene and was like so highly praised that there was a lot of like resentment against that. Yeah. It's like, oh, this guy didn't pay his dues enough to earn this level of praise, when it's like, if you really look at his track record, he did. Like, this shouldn't have been a surprise for people.
Right.
But yeah, when obviously Puka Nacua coming onto the scene last season and being an absolute hit for the Rams.
Yeah.
I drafted him in our Dynasty League, sold high on him this season. So as much as I do want him to have a good season, I also wouldn't be upset if he has a horrible season for that purpose. There was another player in the draft that I was like, this is my Puka Nacua. But then the Rams drafted him, Jordan Whittington? Really made me mad. Yes, I love Jordan Whittington. I love the way he plays. I think oh my gosh, I love him.
Dude, he looks good. And something tells me this so you're a Texas fan, I'm an OU fan. You see this, like, what is he, 6'4"? He's the biggest person on the field at times. He's y'all's biggest receiver in, like, I don't know how long. And it's like, I think, or Jordan Whittington always showed me that, like, he doesn't look great in college, but he'll be a good special teamer in the NFL. I always said that, like, this guy's going to play in the NFL because of his body, his skill set. And then we just saw him in the preseason, bro. What the hell was Texas doing for the past 4 years or 5 years?
And that's how I always felt like, how is he not getting utilized more in our offense when in college? But what's crazy, he's actually only 6'1". He just plays so big. Yes. He is that guy that, like, he will play big. He'll yeah, dude, his like physical strength is just so much more than.
That's what I thought too, because he looks smaller in his Rams uniform. So I'm like, he looks smaller, but in Texas uniform, he looks big as hell. 6'1"?
Yeah, he's only 6'1", 202.
He must have like crazy long arms or something.
Maybe, but I just always loved how he played. I think he's like a perfect professional receiver, like pro receiver.
Yeah.
And so I was really excited about that. And then he went to the Rams, and I'm like, well, He probably won't get the opportunities Puka did, but maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, like you said, he shined. So
Yeah.
I'm interested if you have any of these. I'm gonna give 2 underrated teams.
Okay.
One, and I don't really want to talk too much about it, which is why I'm gonna give it. Is the Cardinals. It's just if Kyler can have a healthy and successful season, I think they'll be really good. I think they've benefited from his injury and just other injuries on that team for draft capital. But then the Titans, that's my underrated. I think my number one underrated team.
Fucking much. Love it.
I
love it.
I just think this division, like they're just tossed out as well. There's another 4th place in the division for the Titans, and Will Levis is. I think he's looked pretty good this offseason. And I know he's not perfect, and I know there's still some things that he was never going to be the QB to come in and immediately shine.
Yeah.
But I think he's done a lot better than what people thought, and I think as a whole, the Titans, the roster may not shine compared to some of these other teams, but like you said, the Texans are just being thrown in as like they're it. Like CJ Stroud's come on the scene and like he's him, he's the future. Maybe he's incredible. He's looked incredible.
Yeah.
But like what the Titans are doing, I think, and they've kind of always been this way, is they've been that team that's just always there, that's just nagging. That you just can't get by, that's always putting up a fight, that's always a struggle. And I think they're going to be that again this year. They're going to have some wins that are really going to throw seedings and standings into chaos a little bit. And potentially give them the chance to win the division. I think if they don't win the division, they don't make the playoffs. But I kind of feel that way for most of that division to begin with.
I love that Titans pick. I am a big proponent on your job gets a lot easier if the guys in front of you can block. Now, they have J.C. Latham, who was this freaking monstrous of a man at Alabama. He and Peter Skoronski are going to be playing side by side. And you saw these blocking combinations of them double teaming people, which is going to happen a lot. It's a power type offense. They're going to run the ball so much. And then you have Tony Pollard. So Tony Pollard, and I don't know who told, it could have been you, I don't know. But he had 1,000 last year rushing the ball with the Dallas Cowboys, of course. So different team, but coming off of breaking his leg or something like that, he still gave the world 1,000 yards. And now he's just he's a guy that, whether it be personal bias of the Dallas Cowboys, but people are like, he's not a dude I want to invest in. If you ever get 1,000 yards in the National Football League, you are a guy. You are a dude that deserves legitimate respect and praise in the NFL. And Tony Pollard, whether it be, like I said, when the jersey changes, the organization's different, I think we should start seeing him in a different light. And then Tajay Spears, hey, this is his time to come in, and I have him in high regard as a running back. And then the main thing, their receiving core, for whatever reason, it's not getting love, but DeAndre Hopkins, who I still think and believe he is that dude, as long as he's in the NFL, as long as he's still competing, because he is that number, like he has that, he's not going to do what AJ Green did, where he kind of just plays Cardinals last season and like he's like a role player. Like DeAndre Hopkins is I'm going to play this game as long as I'm elite type of dude. Calvin Ridley is going to be on the other side of DeAndre Hopkins. Like 4 years ago, this would be seen as the most broken duo in the NFL. And then you have Tyler Boyd as their slot receiver. So it's and then they had a young tight end last year I can't say his last name because it's crazy, it's wild. It's like racist if you say his last name.
That's why I was like, I'm not even going to try.
Yeah, right? So, and it's like he had a great season last year to where all Will Levis really has to do is show the world that he got better. He got a little bit better. And so, no, I think the Titans definitely I mean, I would be far to say they'll win the division, but I definitely think if it's between the Texans and the Jags to take out the division, neither the Texans or the Jags want to see the Titans. And that's kind of how it's always been with the Titans. Yeah. It's always been like, even with their new coach and Brian Callahan, who's an offensive-minded type of dude, which is still, in that regard, let's see. Let's see what Will Levis and this offense can do. I definitely am a believer of the Titans being that underrated team for sure.
Yeah, and I like what you said about the receiving core, because they've just been, like, Tyler Boyd battery specifically, low. I think, is underrated just because of who he was with the Bengals. Like,
right.
Look at the players he played around. Yeah, you're going to look like an average, just like normal whatever receiver, replaceable receiver, when you have incredible receivers around you. Mm-hmm. And then, the other two, like you mentioned, it's been, I guess, a few years since they would have been like one of the best receiving duos, but they still have it. You already mentioned the line. And I love the defense. I love their secondary. I just think they have a hard team to play against.
It's gonna be tough. And like I said, we're not saying they're gonna win the division, but if you probably talk to a lot of people and it's like, what do you think where do you think the Titans are going to be picking? Oh, probably second overall, probably third overall. And I just, they've done it before, but like I said, I just think that this team is different. And I do want to go into the Cardinals. What do you have to say about the Cardinals? Because there's something you said specifically that I really want to push out to see if it changes your perspective.
So I think if Kyler Murray can stay healthy, they've been able to get the draft picks to put them in a good position to win. Now, obviously, as you could probably tell, if you're listening to this, I prefer offense. I know a lot more about offense than I do defense. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you got Marvin Harrison, you got Kyler, who's a really good dual threat. And I'll be honest, I'm really not the biggest Kyler fan.
Charging battery.
I don't think he's as good as he was touted to be coming into the league. I think people have kind of backed off on that. And so I think now with what the narrative is around him, I can get more on board with how the media talks about him. Mm-hmm. But I just think they're set up pretty well to make some surprising victories this season. Again, I don't think they're going to make a huge splash and like fully go into the playoffs and like make a run or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I just really like where they're at compared to where they've been the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree that the Cardinals are going to be an underrated team. But there's something that you said specifically that I just wonder, and I hear it in media, I hear it all the time. If you can say, if blank player is healthy, then this, doesn't that mean that you're going against what you actually believe? Like, they keep saying it. I'll just revert it back to why I say it. Like with the Bengals, if Joe Burrow's healthy, they can win a Super Bowl. If Joe Burrow's healthy, they can get to the AFC Championship. Wouldn't you just rather say, yeah, the Bengals are going to the AFC Championship, and just not even because it's a duh,
Yeah.
It really is like a duh. Like, yeah, if they don't have their starting quarterback, they're not going to make it to the AFC Championship. Yeah, if they don't have their starting quarterback, they're not making it to the Super Bowl. It's a statement that I keep hearing so much of, where it finally it hit this thing, like either two things. You're saying something to, not saying you want him to get hurt, but you're saying something to kind of put it on the back burner, that if he gets hurt, you could say, see, look, the Cardinals aren't good, like I said. But also, it's kind of a thing of like, the Cardinals are way better. But
yeah.
But you just, it's just hard for you to probably verbally just go up. The Cardinals are going to be, the Cardinals are going to win the NFC West. And it's like, well, what? And it's like, well, if Kyler Murray's healthy, and it's like, you shouldn't even have to say that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that shouldn't have to be a a statement, because if Dak Prescott goes down, if Jalen Hurts, like, we're not going to expect that this team is going to be the exact same team. That's just something that I hear a lot, and for me, every time I hear it, it's like, duh.
Yeah, I think it's more of it could always definitely be like a defense mechanism of, I don't want to look like the idiot.
Yeah.
If
he gets hurt, because then you'll be like, it'll be like, dude, he got hurt.
Hack said that the Cardinals were going to win the NFC East or the NFC West. Like, what an idiot. Yeah, so that's certainly possible. But I also think there's just always that like devil's advocate that's being played. At least in the media, like mainstream media, because they have to talk about something, right? And so then if you're going to talk about the positive, well, let's continue the conversation and throw in the negative. What if he can't stay healthy? And so then you put it on the front end to almost just already give the rebuttal, like give the defense to the naysayers or to the people that are like, oh, Joe Burrow, but he can't stay healthy. And it's like, yeah, but if he does, let's not forget who he is.
And it's like that statement, it's a silence, you know, like when you're playing League of Legends and you silence someone, like, you can't say anything, because it's like, if they lose the starting quarterback, they will be bad.
That's so true. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a silence. It's nothing you can't do. It's an inevitable point. Boom. They lose that starting quarterback, they're not going to be good.
Yeah, name a team in the NFL.
One team that would be great if their quarterback goes down. Like, yeah. And so that's just something that I really need to get off my chest for that. But no, I definitely think the Cardinals and the Titans are those teams. And then you already know where I'm going with my second team. It's Bryce Young, baby. Like, it's Panthers time.
That's literally my Miles pick.
I know.
That's my Miles pick.
I know. And I knew, and it is what it is. But, you know, Bryce Young, I'm just going to say right now, I am so certain of this. And what we can do is we could take human psychology, or we could take so many things to prove that I'm not right, but the Panthers will be better. Think about it. With the Panthers and the Texans last year, I don't think organizations are really stupid. I think some people are stupid in the organization. But if you clearly see a physical limitation, the type of conviction you would have to have on that player to draft him over another player that's taller and did great things as well, that's a gut hit. But it was a gut hit filled with like facts. It's facts that he's good. Like, it's to where, for me, the whole thing with Bryce Young, he's an undersized player. We've seen it before. It is what it is. That offensive line was horrendous last year.
Like, maybe one of the worst. It's worst I've ever seen. I don't know, like, historically, statistically, where it stands, but
yeah, no, it was definitely a bad offensive line. I think he was the second most hit quarterback, if not first, like up there. And then, as many of times I had these discussions with people last year, I would just ask them, other than Adam Thielen, please ramble me off two receivers that you know of. And it's like, they have Deontay Johnson, dude. That's so lit. That's so good for them, man. And then I like Xavier Legette a lot. A second round receiver. And we've seen many a times where that's where the gems are in the second round with these dudes. It's not really the first round, it's the second round with a lot of these star receivers. But to even go further, it's like, this is my main point. I believe in coaching so much that I sometimes believe I feel dumb when people don't bring in coaching, because it's like, it's such a clear thing. Dave Canales, 2 years ago, he was the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks have an incredible season. Dave Canales leaves to get a better opportunity with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Geno Smith gets a legitimate extension, a contract, a lot of money, an investment because of Dave Canales. Dave Canales leaves, I don't know if a lot of like Sam Howell, like I think if you are honest with a lot of Seattle Seahawks fans, they want Geno to start, but if things go away, let's put in Sam. Like that's kind of where Dave Canales left them last year. He goes to Tampa Bay. He has a whole year with Baker, a smaller receiver or smaller quarterback, kind of just like Bryce. They go to they win the division. They beat the Eagles in the playoffs. Like they have a really great season. Baker gets a bag. Like that's my thing. I'm gonna follow the coach that is giving players millions of dollars. That's all he's really doing is giving players millions of dollars. And then Bryce Young, first overall pick. People are going to say he should have been second overall. People are going to have their opinions. Heisman winner, or not Heisman winner, but he won the Heisman?
I think he did.
I think he's a Heisman winner too.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place right now with the brain, but Heisman winner. He's had incredible.
Yeah, 2021.
It's crazy. Incredible college football seasons where his leading receiver was a running back, still dogging out people. You know, beats Georgia in the SEC championship, loses to them in the national championship. Dude sucks all of a sudden. Like, I don't know, man. And that's not to take anything away from Coleridge Bernard himself, CJ Stroud. I'm a big fan of him, but I think Deontay Johnson, Jonathan Brooks, Texas running back, along with Miles Sanders, who is not the full-time dude, but he's the yin-yang now, which I think what made him really good in Philly, not being the main dude. But, man, this team is definitely going to win 7 games. I definitely win 7 games. Because they were competing last year, but people don't want to give them anything for. There were some close losses. They beat the Texans. All right, so you can have your opinion on any of that. When it came, we always do this Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. We always do this quarterback versus quarterback BS. Someone's 1-0 against CJ Stroud, and it was Buddy that got picked before him. So I don't know. Like I think he's going to put the Panthers on the map this upcoming season. Let's transition to the last segment. I need to hear it. You've already let me know ahead of time. I'm gonna get tilt. It is what it is. What do we have for this top 5 quarterbacks list?
All right. So do you want me to start at 1 or 5?
Go 5.
All right. I'm gonna start at number 3.
Okay, that makes no sense.
No, I'm just kidding. Number 5, I have Dak Prescott.
Okay.
I think a lot of people will hate on that comment because people love to hate the Cowboys. I think if he's on any other team with the stats that he has, he's easily a top 5 quarterback conversation.
Okay.
I mean, you can list. I've seen the graphics where he's got similar stats as Mahomes last year, where he's got similar stats as all these top guys, where he's got less turnovers than Josh Allen, where he's got, and like, sure, if you look at total touchdowns, yeah, Josh Allen has significantly more because he runs significantly more, but from a passing standpoint, like Dak is up there. Mm-hmm. I think if you want to take playoff success into it, then a lot of quarterbacks get thrown out. There's really then only like 3 quarterbacks you could ever put in a top 5. I mean, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
So that's my 5. I think he's incredible. Obviously, I'm a Cowboys fan, but every statistic, other than the 1 year, 2 seasons ago, where turnovers were all of a sudden a problem, outside of that one issue, he's always been top of the league across the board in every single stat.
No.
Number 4 is Lamar Jackson. Number 3 is Josh Allen. Number 2 is Joe Burrow. Number 1 is Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
I personally I hate, like, the more I look at QBs in the NFL, I'm like, are we just so... I'm like, how critical are we?
Mm-hmm. You have to be, yeah.
Because I'm like, man, like, even in this conversation, I talked bad about Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, and they're not my number 4 and 3 top QB in the NFL.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, when he's healthy, like, obviously you can't be good if you're not able to play, but
right.
Like, man, the only player who's ever been able to really compete with the Chiefs, I guess Josh Allen's son, but he hadn't beaten them. So the only player to beat the Chiefs in the last few years, Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. Mahomes, what he can do with absolute dog water receivers is the most absurd thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But there were other QBs I considered, but at the end of the day, when you look at just like consistency leading your team to the playoffs, consistency being top of the league in stats, consistency and being in the MVP candidacy race and all of those things, I think those are the top 5.
Okay. My top 5 is going to be crazy. But my top 5, it's built upon hubris. And I'm just pretty much saying, like, regardless of what I see, these are the top 5 quarterbacks. Like,
I
regardless,
appreciate that.
regardless of what happens, regardless of their stats, regardless of this or that, these are the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. And the first dude, I give Alex so much shit for it, but Joe Burrow's rookie season.
Fields.
What? No.
What? Not Justin Fields?
No, not Justin Fields.
Oh,
dude.
sorry. I just thought.
But with Joe Burrow, it had to take a whole season and an off season and a few games in his second year for Alex to kind of be like, okay, yeah, he's top 5, like he's top 3, like and I'm like, dude, how did you really need all that time to get there? Really, how? And I'm not gonna be a hypocrite. CJ Stroud, top 5 quarterback. He's my number 5 spot. I think if I were a Texans fan, more so, I'd be like, yo, how are y'all missing this? So I'll add in the biases of it.
Yeah.
But if I'm not a Texans fan, so I remove myself from it and be like, dude, this kid operated on such a crazy wavelength last year to where I'd be just so dumb to not think. I mean, was he not a top 5 quarterback last year? I think he was. Played like it. And so for me, I'm like, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm not going to be scared to put him back in the top 5 when all I really have to lose is a simple fact of, yo, look at his last year. See how I got there. What are you going to say? You're going to say he's a rookie. He's not a rookie. He's a second-year dude. To where the drop-off, if he's not a top 5 dude, I'm kind of good. Like, I'm kind of off. Like, I don't think I get a lot of shiznits for it. So, and look, he has so much control over this offense. His play action, his play fake is something that doesn't get talked about enough. I think Dalton Schultz is going to help him out a lot. We already know Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs. How you doing? Like, it's going to be so difficult for him to mess it all. Like, the sentence is CJ Stroud has to play so bad for him not to be a top 5 quarterback. That's just how I see it. Like, he has to be terrible to not be a top 5 quarterback. And so that's where I have it. I have him at number 5. At number 4, Matty Ice, baby. Matthew Stafford. Yeah, he's older. But if you don't think that arm can still rip it, you're crazy. And now he has Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua for the whole entire season, or at least for the beginning of the season. And then they have great running backs, so that's going to be able to help with play action. So Matthew Stafford can buy more time because that's all he needs is a little bit more time. He stands in the pocket, he just needs more time to get the ball to Cooper, get the ball to Demarcus Robinson, who I think is good. Tutu Atwell, I think, can shine a little bit more this upcoming season. And Cooper Kupp, Puka, like, he has to be so terrible for him to not be a top 5 quarterback. And then number 3, dude, and this is going to be, I think he gets a lot of hate just because of his, like, how outspoken he is about crap, and he lives in a very liberal state now. Aaron Rodgers, bro, like, is he, like, what happened? Like, is he just trash? Like, and I hear, announcers, they're like, Peyton Manning, when he turned 40 that last season, he really lost it bad. But the year before, when he had like 50 touchdowns, you weren't on that type of noise. You weren't on that type of noise during the offseason. You weren't going ahead of it being like, yo, Peyton Manning's going to have a bad year because he's turning 40. No, you saw it, and then you decided to talk about it. Mm-hmm. With Aaron Rodgers, you're telling me he didn't get hit for an entire year. So I know his lower body with his Achilles is messed up, but that arm is, his shoulder is good. Like his arm is good. Everything is good. The New York Jets went 7-10 last year with dog shit Zach Wilson. Respectfully, he's an NFL quarterback. He's really, 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 really good at football, but comparative to other things, he's not. You get 7 wins with Zach Wilson, and how tilt that defense had to be all the time of how they were getting 3 and outs, having close games, and they get the ball to the offense and he can't do anything. And Garrett Wilson, bro. Garrett Wilson is a top 10 wide receiver. I won't even argue it with people because I know that I'm arguing with someone that is just low IQ. So I'm not even going to even bank on an argument. And then I keep hearing all this beautiful noise about Breece Hall. It's because he's good. And so once again, and then you have an offensive line. He's got a line. He's got big boys there. Like, he's going to look good. And that's the thing. Like, with Aaron Rodgers, for him to have that, pedigree again, he's got to look good and he's got to win. The defense is going to help win a lot of games. He's not going to turn over the ball. That's not what he is. He's a cerebral quarterback that just happens to be freaking gifted physically as well. He's so smart. He does not do double-digit interceptions. He does double-digit touchdowns, and he'll have like 5-6 picks maybe. And so I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a bang-out year. I'm just flabbergasted of how people have just written him off. And then we share the same top 2, Joe Burrow at the 2 spot and Patrick Mahomes at the 1. And I'd rather talk about Patrick other than Joe. Joe's great. We know how great he is, but dude, this freaking Patrick dude, man.
That behind the back pass.
I can't even, like when he won this last Super Bowl, I had to look at myself and be like, Miles, you're just a hater, bro. You're just a hater. Like, the fact that I was going for the 49ers, which is fine, but like I was just like, if someone makes me a hater, that means they're so fucking good, bro. If I become a hater, if I'm like just hating on them because they're winning, A, that's a reflection on my character as a man. But B, even more so, it's like, this dude's winning for a reason, Miles. Like, you hating, you could just sit back and enjoy it, or you can sit back and like poke holes and say, no, it's Andy Reid. No, it's Tyreek Hill. No, Travis Kelce's getting older. No, Taylor Swift is going to take the show away. No, he's limping in the AFC Championship. He's not going to be good for the Super Bowl. Like, all these things, and he just does it. He figures it out. He is the Steph Curry of the NFL, dude. It doesn't make any sense. It's the hater part of it, the frustration part of it, is how easy he makes it look.
Yeah.
It makes it look so easy. and one thing I did, because I've always liked Tom Brady. I refuse, even though he's a competitor, he's a rival, I refuse to not be in awe of like football greatness. I refuse. I'm just gonna sit back and watch him freaking work. And he has a tough season. He's got the Ravens week 1, the Bengals week 2. I think he plays the Browns like week 4. So the Chiefs, like, and the thing is I want to prop him up because it only makes number 2 his crown wearing just that much better when he does it, and he's gonna do it. But no, I that's my list. That's my top 5. I don't know if you have anything.
I appreciate your top 5 because I think we took it 2 different ways. Like we just said, give top 5. I think we kind of took it 2 different routes, and I like the way that you took it. And like speaking on CJ Stroud, like he was one that I considered. I'm like, I'm like, well, and I kind of did that thing that you're talking about. It's like, well, it was only 1 year. So it's like, let's wait. So let me put some guys in there that I know have shown it consistently. So I do appreciate what you said there. And like a lot of the time you get like rookie quarterbacks that look good because they're able to just dump the ball off. The coaches really help game plan and scheme their success.
Yeah, I agree.
But like you said, he had control of that offense. Like that, he did not look like a rookie in any way last season. And so I do appreciate that. I thought about Matt Stafford. I thought about Aaron Rodgers. And so I definitely can appreciate those.
Okay. Yeah. And like I said, I'm in a comfortable spot with those dudes because so much has to go wrong for them to be so bad. But then even in the same light, like I thought about Justin Herbert, and you know how I feel about Justin Herbert. Like I do not like the keys he got. I don't like what he got when he came into the league with being the third quarterback drafted in that draft. He was a second. Wait, wasn't it Tua then Herbert? No, it was Herbert then Tua. It had to have been. 2020 NFL draft, it should be. Was it? No, it had to.
He was the 6th overall pick. So, okay. I really hate this.
2020.
Order here. It was Joe Burrow to Herbert.
So yeah, he was the third quarterback picked in that draft. So it's like, why is he getting the keys to the league all of a sudden? But I thought about, what if, freaking Jim Harbaugh was able to create a little Michigan so fast to where his responsibilities as a quarterback gets kind of taken off his hands. I don't know. But I definitely thought about him as well, because I think so much has to go wrong probably in LA as well for him not to have a good season. But that's all I got for today. I don't know if you have anything else you want to kind of go over and talk about, but running up on, we hit over an hour, but
we're well over. I will say really quick, we can maybe go into more detail on another pod, but we were going to talk about most competitive division. My top two. So my top division in the AFC is the South.
Okay.
I think that'll be the toughest. And then in the NFC, I have the North as the toughest.
Yeah, I really like that. I think the NFC North is, we will definitely go into more detail in another date, but I definitely want to talk about the NFC North, like in like itself, honestly. But my toughest that I put, and it's going to sound funny, but the toughest division or the most competitive in the division it's the AFC West. If you're in the division with the Chiefs, you like, even if they're the competitive ones, like it's like I just see them as such a juggernaut. And those other three teams hate them. And every single one of those games, especially last year, they were so engaging. You can tell those other three teams want to beat the Chiefs so bad. There were close Broncos games last year. The Raiders beat them last year. Those were very engaging, emotional games. And if we actually sit and think about it, remember the Raiders and the Chargers a few years ago when they were like just that high scoring game, and it was like whoever wins goes to the playoffs. And if they tied or something, they both get in all that BS. And it's like, there's so many emotional games in the AFC West that we really don't like zone in on because we're like, oh, but they're bad. Oh, but the Raiders are bad. But when they play the Chiefs, bro, it is a high impact competitive game every time. There are times I was going to put the AFC North first, but there are times where the Bengals go to Cleveland and they just get their ass wrung out. Or the same thing with the Steelers. Someone get their behinds just kicked bad. But yeah, if I did have to pick a second division, it would be the AFC North. But I think when you see minus 310 to win the division on the Chiefs, like that when you, and then you trust, right? You make it a man thing. You trust that the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Broncos want to take them down. I just think from a human point, like that has to be the most competitive division to take the Chiefs out. So that's kind of where my brain went with that.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think it's interesting. We kind of take that word competitive and we define it a little differently for this.
Yeah.
Where they both fit. Where like, I would say, well, if the Chiefs are the clear favorite, then it's not competitive. But then the way you explain it, I'm like, okay, I see what you're saying. Like those divisional games are so competitive. So I get that. I like that.
Yeah, like Chiefs Chargers, their first matchup, if they're both winning games, like that's gonna be a prime time like boom. And like the Raiders, same like if any of those other teams, if they just get some type of notoriety, the media is gonna go crazy because they want to see the Chiefs get done. They want the Chiefs done because that's crazy. And so I just see it from that spirit. Please do not forget to follow us on all socials. The link is going to be in the bios or descriptions, not link in the bio. Follow us on the platforms. See you guys next time.